All right, we are 2 days into the 4th week of the federal election. Manitoba has switched back to being blue. Let's jump into the polls here. Okay, Liberals are up 1 for 191. Bloc are down 1 for 19. Everyone else holding at what they were yesterday. The trend with the Liberals continues to do more of the same. That would be a continuation of that plateau that we talked about. And it's definitely looking like that so far. Conservatives leveling out at this 124 level like they have before. We can see 125 here on the 8th, 9th, the 7th. Swapping over to Polymarket. We can see that the Liberals had a pretty big dip since their high of 78 back on the 9th. They dipped all the way down to 68 here on the 13th before starting back up. They're now back up to 73 here on the 15th. Polyev down to 28. Math, still not quite mathing here on Polymarket, but that's okay. I haven't done this with you guys yet. Let's just take a look at what people are saying. What's the public sentiment? And obviously, you know, these are just people who choose to comment. The thing I love about this, Polymarket will show you the positions of these people. So we can see where these people have actually put their money. So this guy has $250 on Polyev winning. It's the same old liberal platform which they already failed over the last 10 years. Regurgitating pure Polyev platform ideas. Interesting. If you like his ideas, why not go directly to the source? Interesting. They failed to plant trees and people really think they build all houses. Okay, that guy's got almost 3... almost 3k on Polyev. So this means that he's got about $1,000 on Mark Carney not winning. So basically money on Polyev winning because no one else. So okay, this has nothing to do with politics, but I'll just explain this really quickly. This guy's betting $1,000 Mark Carney won't win. Typically that's a safer bet than betting on who will win. It doesn't matter right now because there's only 2 possible outcomes. Like there's only 2 possible winners. Either Mark Carney wins or Pure Polyev wins. But typically, Pure Polyev winning is a single outcome. Mark Carney losing, usually you would have more options if there were other people who could actually win. Because obviously Mark Carney would lose if anybody else wins. That's the idea behind betting against somebody losing rather than betting against somebody like the other guy winning type of thing. In this case though, I imagine the odds are exactly the same. How many election scandals before election Canada disqualifies Carney? What the what? Is this a joke? This guy has got this fucking guy. This gentleman has got 20 grand that Trudeau is gonna be the next prime minister. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Let's keep going. Oh, we got some Carneys down here. Alberta independence referendum market will be fun. Maybe we'll go look at that. Not a single person can deny Stephen Harper was a better leader. So yeah, you get it. I mean, we'll move on. Polymarket has got quite a few different things you can bet on for the election. They've even got this nice little page here. So these are results for the... This is the bet that we always check out. Just who's going to be PM. Lots of interesting stuff here by Polymarket. I recommend you come check it out. But here are all the different bets. So, will Conservatives flip Liberals in the polls before the election? Not a lot of people think so. Pierre out as leader of cons. I think this is 100% chance. Me personally. But who knows? Cons win majority, probably not. Next government would be led by another party or coalition. Next government of Canada, 60% chance Liberal majority. Jagmeet loses seat, Carney loses seat. I think Jagmeet is predicted. I haven't brought this up before. But here, Polymarket predicting about an 80% chance that he loses it. Alright, last little polling update before we move on to some news. Here is the popular vote breakdown from the CBC. Now, you know I always prefer the seats to the popular vote. I don't really care about the popular vote because our system is broken and it doesn't matter. CBC holding the Liberals at quite a lot more seats, so who'd they take them from? They took them from all of the other progressive parties, gave them to Liberals, Conservatives holding about the same. Here we can see Liberals, about an 87% projected of them winning a majority. If you go back to Polymarket, they're only predicting a 60, which is quite different. Country breakdown for polling averages and my preferred seat projections. And I like that you get the range of them, you know. I don't like that Saskatchewan and Manitoba are the same, and I really don't like that you have 4 provinces here. Let's jump into one of these polls. So we always check out the large CBC and 338. They congregate all the polling data together and they do some magical stuff to it. And they make predictions. These are just actual polls. This is Main Street Research. Let's see what this poll's about. If the election was held today, who would you vote for? All voters. This poll actually saying that people are going to vote more conservative than liberal. Very interesting. Here's the demographic breakdown for everybody who answered that question. They did talk to more men than women, but they didn't talk to a significant number of young people at all, and it's really just young men swinging conservative, so I don't think you can blame it on that. Leaning undecided voters, still leaning towards conservatives. Gender breakdown looks exactly the same. I think it's the same people. Yeah, it's the same people for the whole study, it looks like. Okay. Into decided voters. 44 for Polyev, 42 for for liberals. Decided voters, 44 for Polyev, 42 for Kearney. And slight changes in the demographic information, but I think it's still the same group of people. Quite interesting. He's still more favored than he is unfavored. But people who like him definitely don't like him. Now Pierre Poilievre. Interesting. Poilievre a bit more of a polarizing figure. People tend to really like him or really dislike him. Less people in the somewhat favorable or unfavorable area. Kearney more unknown. Less slightly unfavorable. Significantly more slightly favorable. Yeah. Okay, 5 points. Not significant. Here's what people think about Mr. Singh. And that's it. News time. It's the news time. The Liberals did some goofy stuff. They were doing goofy things. They goofed around and they found out. A couple of Liberal staffers went to a Conservative conference. This conference wasn't an official Conservative Party event. It was just a Conservative leaning event. Conservative staff members and candidates were actually instructed to avoid it for this exact reason. You know I got a clip for you.
Good morning. Kate McKenna from the CBC.
Hi.
Members of the Liberal War Room, so the Central Campaign, distributed Stop the Steal buttons at a Conservative event. Given the anti-democratic implications of this phrase, how much does this event undermine the trust in the way that the Liberals operate, and what have you done in response to these revelations?
Thanks for the question. Look, this is totally unacceptable, to be absolutely clear. And I, on behalf of my campaign, I was unaware of this behavior, but on behalf of my campaign, I apologize for it unreservedly. Okay. I've made it absolutely clear to my campaign that this behavior or anything approximating it or in that spirit is unacceptable, cannot happen again.
Hello, Mr. Carney. TVA. I just want to come back to the buttons we were talking about. You said this was unacceptable and you have apologized to the Conservative Party. Will you fire the members of your team that distributed those buttons at the Conservative event? Well, the people responsible for this have been removed from the campaign.
The responsible people for this issue have been reassigned within the campaign.
So there you go. The Liberals did a big goof. Big surprise. In other news, Kearney has renounced his British and Irish citizenships. Now, he did this a while ago, but There's an article about it, so let's look into it a little bit. I'm gonna read this to you. Carney, who was born in Canada, acquired Irish citizenship decades ago through his family ancestry and got his UK passport in 2018 while working overseas as a governor of the Bank of England. Carney's wife was also British born. His other citizenships were announced before Mr. Carney was sworn in as a Prime Minister, the campaign spokesperson said. Continuing on, the article mentions that this was actually a problem for Andrew Scheer back in 2019 because he's also American, and he still is because he kept his citizenship. Liberals are finally talking about the military again, although they have before. If you remember, back when Carney first became the leader of the Liberal Party, there was some talk about that plan we have to buy all these fighters from the US. Well, he's talking about it again on Monday. Carney said, "The priorities of the United States, once closely aligned with our own, have shifted. For too long, our military has been underfunded and overly reliant on the United States." He said this yesterday. Today's Tuesday. Our lovely Air Force needs 88 advanced warplanes to replace their super duper old CF-18s. The government is so determined to not purchase US that after they purchase this first batch of 16, which they're already kind of committed to doing, they might just buy a different type of planes and run 2 different advanced fighter jet fleets with all of the extra expenses and logistics and nonsense that comes with it, just so that we don't have an entirely American fleet. That is a pretty big statement. Well, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.